Everyone has heard of the word porn, which is the general name for adult content that some consider an addiction. But how many of you knew that it was based on the famous Empress Theodora and her husband, Justinian I? Let's delve into another one of history's most interesting love stories and explore the street scene of Pornai, now a billion-dollar industry. According to Procopius's Secret History, Theodora began working as a prostitute before reaching puberty, and later joined the Comito as a stage performer. Procopius wrote that Theodora painted a pornographic portrait of Leda and the Swan, in which she fed the birds seed from her naked body. Working as an actress at the time involved performing obscene performances on stage and providing sexual services offstage. Later, Theodora traveled to North Africa as the concubine of Heliopolis, who became the governor of the Libyan Pentapolis. Procopius alleges that their relationship dissolved after a quarrel in Africa. Theodora, destitute of the means of life, went to Alexandria, Egypt. After dancing here for a while, she met a blue faction dancer called Macedonia. But Macedonia is not just a dancer. She is also a highly skilled spy for Emperor Justinian. This friendship that Theodora established with Macedonia brings her back to the Constantinople of the time. Theodora returns to her job as a dancer on Pornai Street. Her friend Macedonia is in the presence of the emperor to report to Emperor Justinian. Macedonia mentions Theodora in this speech.
I am a very good dancer, but Theodora is the best dancer the world has ever seen,
she says. This conversation and Theodora attract the attention of Emperor Justinian. He goes to Pornai Street to watch Theodora perform. He falls in love with her as soon as he sees her. However, there is an obstacle. Justinian wanted to marry Theodora, but law from Constantine's time barred the senatorial rank from marrying an actress. Empress Euphemia, wife of Emperor Justin, also strongly opposed the marriage. Again, Justinian chose to pursue his own love. Following Euphemia's death in 524, Justin passed a new law allowing reformed actresses to marry outside of their rank if approved by the emperor. Shortly thereafter, Justinian married Theodora. Theodora had an illegitimate daughter whose name and father are unknown. The same law that allowed Justinian and Theodora to marry also excused children of former actresses, thus allowing Theodora's daughter to marry a relative of the late Emperor Anastasius. When Justinian succeeded to the throne in 527, Theodora was crowned Augusta and became Empress of the Eastern Roman Empire. According to Procopius's Secret History, she helped her husband make decisions, participated in state councils, and had great influence over him. Justinian sought her advice and called her his partner in my deliberations in Novel 8.1, AD 535, anti-corruption legislation where provincial officials had to take an oath to the emperor and Theodora. Sources generally agree on her character being vindictive but loyal and determined. She secured her influence, though, instilling fear in her subjects, with little care for the consequences. The conflicts between the chariot racing factions, the Blues and the Greens, often led to street violence in the 6th century. Both Justinian and Theodora were believed to align with the blues. Consequently, the Greens felt isolated and frustrated. Following a riot between the two factions in early January 532, a group of both green and blue leaders were sentenced to death. But two of the felons, one blue and one green, survived the hanging. When the emperor remained unresponsive to the circus faction's demands to pardon the two, the angry factions united, chanting Nika, meaning conquer. The rioters set many public buildings on fire and proclaimed a new emperor, Hypatius, the nephew of the former emperor Anastasius I. Unable to control the mob, Justinian and his officials prepared to flee. According to Procopius, Theodora spoke out against fleeing during a meeting of the government council, underlining the significance of someone who dies a ruler instead of living as an exile. History recorded Theodora's words as follows.
My lords, the present occasion is too serious to allow me to follow the convention that a woman should not speak in a man's council. Those whose interests are threatened by extreme danger should think only of the wisest course of action, not of convention. In my opinion, flight is not the right course, even if it should bring us to safety. It is impossible for a person, having been born into this world, not to die. But for one who has reigned, it is intolerable to be a fugitive. May I never be deprived of this purple robe, and may I never see the day when those who meet me do not call me Empress. If you wish to save yourself, my lord, there is no difficulty. We are rich. Over there is the sea, and yonder are the ships. Yet reflect for a moment whether, when you have once escaped to a place of security, you would not gladly exchange such safety for death. As for me, I believe that royal purple is the noblest shroud.
Her speech motivated the men, including Justinian. He ordered his troops to attack the demonstrators in the Hippodrome, resulting in the deaths of over 30,000 civilian rebels. Despite his claims that he was unwillingly named emperor by the mob, Hypatius and his brother Pompeius were put to death by Justinian. In one source, this came at Theodora's insistence. Theodora's death is recorded by Victor of Tournuna, with the cause uncertain. However, the Greek terms used are often translated as cancer. Her death date was 28th June, 548. Later accounts attribute the death to breast cancer, but this was not identified in the original report, where the use of the term cancer probably referred to a more general suppurating ulcer or malignant tumor. She was buried in the Church of the Holy Apostles in Constantinople. During a procession in 559, 11 years after her death, Justinian visited her tomb and lit candles in her memory. 6 years after this visit, Justinian passed away and was buried next to her beloved love Theodora in the Church of the Holy Apostles, now known as the Fatih Mosque in Istanbul. Despite all the deaths, intrigues, and wars, even if their actions earned them the wrath of many, Justinian and Theodora did not hesitate to undertake deeds that would immortalize their names. According to Malalas, a 5th and 6th century chronicler, the couple shared their wealth with others and earned the affection of a certain segment of society. They commissioned churches, baths, and basilicas in Antioch, and sent the city a pearl-studded cross as a donation. Nearly 500 Monophysite priests, with the empress's financial support, maintained the palace of Hormisdas. Theodora and Justinian had no children. Before his death, Justinian chose his nephew, Justin II, as his successor to the throne. Justinian had also survived the plague he suffered in the 540s alongside his lover. Cancer, known as the plague of our time, separated Theodora from Justinian. Justinian, who lived for nearly 20 years after the death of his beloved, had also devoted himself to religion and theology before his death. When he died in 565, Justinian the Great fell into eternal sleep next to his Theodora, a gift bestowed upon him by God, just as his name was. The love of Theodora and Justinian, gazing at each other in identical mosaics in Ravenna, Italy, is recounted in monograms composed of their initials, formerly known as SS. In the shadow of the sacred wisdom of the world's oldest cathedral, the little Hagia Sophia Mosque, the Church of Sergius and Bacchus, it is immortalized on the columns of Hagia Sophia, reminding visitors and young lovers of the story of this impossible but inevitable love.